All right, so get this. Today, we are doing a deep dive into, well, a single date.
A single date.
Yeah, November 9th. You sent us a Wikipedia page, all in Arabic,
Oh, wow.
which is super cool. And honestly, I have no idea what to expect.
Sounds like fun.
I love these kinds of dives. You never know where they'll take us.
Yeah, what's fascinating about a date like this is that it acts as a thread, connecting us to a whole tapestry of events and people across history.
Okay, so November 9th, that's the 313th day of the year, or the 314th in leap years,
Right.
which means you've got 52 days left in the year.
Oh, wow.
Maybe that should be today's takeaway, get those end-of-year plans solidified.
Yeah, good point.
But seriously, where do we even begin with a date that spans, well, all of history?
Well, how about a journey through time? We could start in 1602 with the opening of the Bodleian Library at Oxford.
Okay.
This isn't just some dusty old library.
Right.
It's one of the oldest and most important in the world.
Yeah.
Think about it. For over 400 years, it's been a hub for scholars and researchers, housing countless rare books and manuscripts.
Wow.
Its collections have literally shaped the course of intellectual history.
Wow. Just imagining all that knowledge in one place is incredible. It's like a portal to the past, but one where you can actually touch and read the thoughts of people from centuries ago.
Exactly.
But speaking of changing the course of history, only a few years later, in 1799, Napoleon takes center stage, seizing power in France and becoming first consul.
Yeah,
Didn't that effectively end the French Revolution?
it did. It's a pivotal point where the chaos and upheaval of the revolution gives way to a new era, one dominated by Napoleon's ambition and military genius. And this really sets the stage for the Napoleonic Wars and a period of huge political and social change across Europe.
Okay, so from the grand halls of libraries to the battlefields of Europe, November 9th has seen it all.
It has.
Let's jump ahead to the 20th century.
Okay.
What stands out to you about November 9th in the 1900s?
Well, the early 20th century was a time of incredible change and upheaval,
Yeah.
and November 9th is right there in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
In 1918, for example, Kaiser Wilhelm II abdicated in Germany following their defeat in World War I.
Okay.
This wasn't just a change of leadership.
Right.
It marked the end of the German Empire and the birth of the Weimar Republic.
Right.
Germany was in a fragile state after the war,
Yeah.
and the Weimar Republic, while a bold experiment in democracy, ultimately struggled to cope with the economic and political challenges it faced.
So this seemingly straightforward event,
Right.
an abdication, actually triggered this cascade of change in Germany. New government,
Yeah.
new political landscape, new challenges.
Absolutely.
And it wasn't just Europe going through huge transformations. November 9th, 1935, marks the Japanese capture of Shanghai, which was like the economic heart of China at the time.
Yeah. Major city.
I remember reading about how Japan was becoming increasingly aggressive in the 1930s. But this really brings that expansionism into sharp focus.
It does. The capture of Shanghai demonstrates just how determined Japan was to exert its influence in the region.
Yeah.
It's a key event in the lead-up to World War II, highlighting the growing tensions and ambitions that were about to erupt on a global scale.
It's like November 9th is a front row seat to some of history's most pivotal moments.
It is.
Shifting gears a bit,
Okay.
1953 sees two major events unfold, both dealing with changes in power and leadership.
Yeah.
First, we have the death of King Abdulaziz Al Saud, the founder of modern Saudi Arabia.
His son, Saud bin Abdulaziz Al Saud, takes over the throne.
Right.
This transition of power within the Saudi royal family is significant because it has huge implications for the stability of the region and for global oil markets.
Right.
Meanwhile, over in Southeast Asia, Cambodia declares independence from France.
Wow.
This ends nearly a century of French control, a period that started way back in 1863.
Wow.
Cambodia had been fighting for its independence for years, and this declaration is a testament to their resilience and determination.
So from the deserts of the Middle East to the jungles of Southeast Asia, November 9th marks these shifts in power, the end of eras and the beginning of new chapters.
Yeah.
It's almost like the date itself is a catalyst for change. Okay, let's fast forward to 1961, when Neil Armstrong, before he became the first man on the moon,
Right.
sets a speed record in the X-15 aircraft, reaching over 4,000 miles per hour.
Wow.
It's hard to even imagine going that fast.
Yeah.
What's really striking here is that this record was set during the height of the Cold War space race, a time when the U.S. and the Soviet Union were competing fiercely for technological dominance.
Right. This wasn't just about speed. It was about pushing the boundaries of what was possible.
Yeah.
And it was a symbolic victory for the U.S. in this technological battle that was playing out on a global stage.
I can just picture everyone back then glued to their radios and TVs, hanging on every update.
Oh, yeah.
And just 8 years later, in 1969, we had another close call. A computer glitch nearly triggered a nuclear false alarm in the United States.
Oh.
Can you imagine the panic and chaos that would have ensued if that alarm had actually gone off?
It's a chilling reminder of how precarious the Cold War really was, with the threat of nuclear annihilation constantly looming.
Yeah.
A simple computer glitch could have easily escalated into a global catastrophe.
It's amazing how this one date can hold so much tension and upheaval. But on a more positive note, just a couple years later in 1971, we see the release of the very first email, marking a pivotal moment in the history of communication. Talk about a game changer. It's like the precursor to everything we do online today.
It's a fascinating example of how seemingly small technological advancements can have profound impacts on our lives.
Right.
Who would have thought that sending a simple message electronically would revolutionize the way we connect and share information?
And how about this for a monumental moment?
Yeah.
In 1989, the Berlin Wall begins to come down. This was more than just a physical barrier crumbling. It was like the whole world was watching as decades of division and Cold War tension started to ease.
Right. And it's important to remember that the fall of the Berlin Wall didn't happen overnight.
Right.
It was a process that began on November 9th and continued for several days,
Yeah.
fueled by the courage and determination of ordinary people who yearned for freedom and unity.
It's a powerful reminder of the power of collective action and the human desire for connection and freedom.
And speaking of collective action and human connection, the first version of the World Wide Web went live on November 9th, 1990.
Wow.
This was the beginning of the internet as we know it.
Wow.
The very foundation for the way we live and interact with the world today.
It's crazy to think that something as essential as the internet has its roots in this one date.
Yeah,
Like November 9th is a timeline for technological innovation.
absolutely.
Okay, so we've gone from ancient libraries to Napoleonic conquests,
Mm-hmm.
from the rise and fall of empires to the dawn of the digital age.
We have.
And we're only halfway through.
It's true. And that's just a glimpse into the events that shaped the world on this date.
Right.
We haven't even touched upon the stories of the individuals born and who died on November 9th.
Yeah, right.
The artists, the leaders, the thinkers, the ordinary people who, in their own ways, helped shape the course of history.
You're right. Let's dive into those stories next.
Okay.
I'm already fascinated by how much this one date encompasses.
Me too. It's amazing how a single date can be a window into the lives of so many fascinating people.
It is.
Think about this. In 1818, on November 9th,
Mm-hmm.
Ivan Turgenev was born.
Okay.
He's considered one of the greatest Russian novelists,
Oh, wow.
known for his incredible ability to capture the complexities of human relationships
Yeah.
and the social changes sweeping through Russia at the time.
His book, Fathers and Sons, is a classic, isn't it? I
Yeah.
remember reading it in college
Oh, yeah.
and being blown away by how relevant the themes of generational conflict and societal transformation still felt, even though it was written over a century ago.
Exactly. And on that same note, November 9th, 1877, marks the birth of Muhammad Iqbal.
Okay.
Now, he wasn't a novelist,
Right.
but a poet and philosopher considered the spiritual father of Pakistan.
Oh, wow.
His writings were hugely influential in the movement for an independent Pakistan,
Yeah.
and his ideas about Islam and modernity still resonate today.
It's incredible how words can have such a lasting impact, shaping not just individual lives, but the destinies of entire nations.
Yeah.
It makes you realize that history isn't just about dates and events.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the people who lived through them and the ideas they fought for.
Right.
Speaking of fighting for ideas, November 9th, 1910 sees the birth of Abu al-Saud al-Ibyari,
Okay.
an Egyptian author known for his sharp wit and his willingness to challenge the status quo.
Interesting.
He used humor as a tool for social commentary, poking fun at the absurdities of Egyptian society.
His work offers a glimpse into the intellectual and cultural ferment of Egypt in the early 20th century, a time when writers and thinkers were grappling with issues of colonialism, tradition, and modernity.
Mhm.
He wasn't afraid to push boundaries, which often landed him in hot water with the authorities.
It sounds like he was a real trailblazer, using his voice to spark conversations and challenge conventional thinking.
Absolutely.
And speaking of challenging conventions, how about this? November 9th, 1929, is the birth date of Imre Kertész,
Okay.
a Hungarian novelist who went on to win the Nobel Prize in Literature.
What makes Kertész's story so powerful is that he was a Holocaust survivor.
Right.
His writing is deeply personal and unflinching in its exploration of the horrors of the concentration camps and the enduring trauma of that experience.
It's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can endure, and that art can be a way to process pain and find meaning in the face of unimaginable suffering.
And it's through voices like Kertész's that we can ensure that these stories are never forgotten,
Yeah,
and that we learn from the mistakes of the past.
absolutely. Now let's shift gears a bit to the world of politics. On November 9th, 1936, Bob Graham was born.
Right.
He later became governor of Florida and a U.S. senator, known for his moderate stance and his focus on environmental issues.
Graham's career shows how November 9th has touched upon American politics as well.
Right.
It's a reminder that this date isn't just about global events.
Yeah.
It's woven into the fabric of American history, too.
It's like we're seeing all these different facets of human endeavor, from literature and philosophy to politics and social activism, all converging on this one date.
It is fascinating.
It's incredible. And while we're on the topic of diverse fields,
Yeah,
do you know that November 9th is also connected to the world of chess?
it is. On that same night in 1936, Mikhail Tal was born.
Okay.
He was a Soviet chess grandmaster known for his aggressive and unpredictable playing style.
Oh, wow.
He was a real genius on the chessboard, a true innovator who challenged the conventional wisdom of the game.
It's interesting how some people are just wired differently, able to see patterns and make connections that others miss.
Yep.
And speaking of seeing things differently,
Uh-huh.
November 9th, 1971 marks the birth of Iyad Nassar.
Okay.
He's not a chess player or a politician,
Right.
but a Jordanian actor.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most recognizable faces in Arab entertainment.
Nasser's popularity speaks to the growing influence of Arab media and the increasing global interest in Arab cinema and television.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that the world is becoming more interconnected
Right.
and that art can be a bridge between cultures.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's exciting to see how talent and creativity can transcend geographical boundaries.
Yeah.
Now, for all you sports fans out there, November 9th, 1974 brought us Alessandro Del Piero.
Oh, yeah.
He's a legendary Italian footballer,
Mhm.
a striker who is known for his incredible skill and artistry on the field.
Del Piero's career is a testament to the global appeal of sports.
Yeah.
He's a hero to millions of fans around the world, and his achievements on the field brought joy and excitement to people from all walks of life.
It's amazing how sports can unite people,
Yeah.
regardless of language or cultural background. It's a universal language of passion and dedication. But November 9th is not just about births and beginnings.
Right.
It's also a day when we remember those who left us.
That's right. We've already talked about some of the influential figures who were born on this date, but it's also important to acknowledge those who passed away on November 9th,
Yeah.
leaving behind their own unique legacies.
For instance, in 1940, Neville Chamberlain,
Okay.
the British Prime Minister who's often associated with the policy of appeasement towards Hitler, died.
Oh, right.
His decisions leading up to World War II are still debated by historians today.
Yeah.
But there's no doubt that his death marked the end of an era in British politics.
It's a reminder that leadership comes with immense responsibility,
Yeah.
and that even the most well-intentioned decisions can have unintended and far-reaching consequences.
It's a sobering thought.
It is.
And then in 1952, Chaim Weizmann,
Okay.
the first president of Israel, died.
He was a scientist and a statesman, a key figure in the Zionist movement and the establishment of the State of Israel.
Weizmann's life and legacy are inseparable from the complex and often turbulent history of the Middle East.
Absolutely.
He was a visionary leader who played a pivotal role in shaping the course of events in the region.
Yeah.
His story is a reminder that November 9th is intertwined with the history of the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, a conflict that continues to this day.
Right.
It's a reminder that even as we celebrate achievements and milestones,
Yeah.
we must also acknowledge the ongoing challenges and the human costs of conflict.
Precisely. And just a few years later, in 1970, Gamal Abdel Nasser,
Okay.
the second president of Egypt, died.
He was a towering figure in the Arab world,
Yeah.
a symbol of Arab nationalism and resistance to colonialism.
Nasser's legacy is complex and multifaceted. He was
Hmm.
a charismatic leader who inspired millions but also ruled with an iron fist.
Right.
His death marked the end of an era in Egyptian politics
Yeah.
and had ripple effects throughout the Middle East.
It's interesting how November 9th seems to mark these turning points,
Yeah.
these moments of transition and upheaval in different parts of the world.
You're right. It's like this date is a nexus point for historical shifts, both big and small.
We've covered so much ground already.
We have.
Births, deaths, political upheavals, cultural milestones,
Hmm.
and we're still not done.
There are so many more stories to uncover, more threads to follow in this intricate tapestry of November 9th.
Yeah.
We'll delve deeper into those stories in part 3. As we continue exploring November 9th, it really strikes me how this date highlights the interconnectedness of the world. We've seen how events on this day ripple across continents and through time, connecting seemingly disparate stories and individuals.
It's like we're piecing together this giant puzzle, and each event, each person we discuss, adds another piece to the bigger picture. And it's not just about grand historical narratives, it's about the human stories that are woven into the fabric of history.
Exactly. For instance, in 1968, we have the passing of Hassan Hosni Abdelwahab, a Tunisian writer and intellectual who dedicated his life to preserving and promoting Arabic literature and culture.
His work is a reminder of how important it is to safeguard our cultural heritage, to ensure that stories and traditions are passed down through generations. It's a legacy that continues to enrich the world today.
And in 2001, November 9th marked the passing of two individuals from very different worlds. Hussein Al-Saleh, a Kuwaiti actor and director who helped shape the landscape of Kuwaiti theater, and Giovanni Leone, the sixth president of Italy.
It's fascinating how this one date can encompass such diverse fields and experiences from the stage to the political arena. What strikes me is how even in their passing, these individuals remind us of the richness and complexity of human life.
Absolutely. And as we move further into the 21st century, we see this theme continuing. In 2011, Mansour al-Mansour, a beloved Kuwaiti actor known for his comedic roles, passed away.
His work brought laughter and joy to countless people, a testament to the power of humor to connect us and uplift our spirits.
And in that same year, we have the passing of Jabir Kamiha, an Egyptian poet and novelist whose words captured the beauty and struggles of everyday life in Egypt, giving voice to the often unheard stories of ordinary people.
It's through voices like his that we gain a deeper understanding of different cultures and perspectives.
And then in 2013, Gro Harlem Brundtland, a former prime minister of Norway and a global advocate for sustainable development, passed away. Her leadership on issues like global health and climate change continues to inspire action and change around the world.
It's a reminder that even in the face of immense global challenges, individuals can make a profound difference through their vision and dedication.
In 2014, we lost Salah Salul, a Yemeni poet whose work offered a unique window into the rich culture and often overlooked realities of Yemen. His legacy is a testament to the power of poetry to transcend borders and connect us to different parts of the world.
It's like each story we uncover, each life we touch upon, adds another layer of meaning to this date, November 9th. It's a date that has witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the birth of new technologies, the triumphs and tragedies that shape the human experience.
And it's a date that reminds us that history is not just a collection of facts and figures, but a tapestry woven from countless individual stories, each thread connected to the others in ways we may never fully comprehend.
As we wrap up this deep dive, I'm left with a sense of awe at the sheer scope of events and individuals connected to November 9th. It's a date that truly reflects the interconnectedness of our world, the ebb and flow of history, the enduring power of the human spirit.
And perhaps it prompts us to consider the significance of dates in our own lives. What seemingly ordinary days hold hidden depths waiting to be explored? What stories are woven into the fabric of our own personal histories?
It's a fascinating thought, isn't it? Maybe it's time for all of us to take a deep dive into our own pasts to uncover the connections and coincidences that have shaped who we are. Thanks for joining us on this journey through November 9th. It's been an eye-opening exploration, and who knows, maybe it's inspired you to do some exploring of your own.